Hello everyone, it's Michelle Lupton here today, and I'm going to be making a Christmas card using these products from Altenew. So I'm starting with the Lush Berry Branch embossing folder, and I've got a piece of cardstock here that I've just cut to approximately square. I'm going to be cutting it down later anyway, so it doesn't matter that it's got a slightly wonky edge. And I'm going to be inking up the flat side of this with some Distress Oxide ink. This is Prize Ribbon, and I am going to do this multiple times. Now I'm spraying my cardstock with some water, then that helps it sort of take on the shape or mould to the shape of the embossing folder a lot better. So I'm going to be running this through my Platinum 6 just die cutting machine. I'll get it right in a minute. And I'll open that up, and you'll see that the ink is a bit blotchy for a couple of reasons. One, because this is a really detailed embossing folder, and it's really hard to actually get all the ink in amongst the image, but that's kind of the look I was going for. But also my ink pad needs a little bit of re-inking. So I'm just doing it multiple times. I think I did it 3 or possibly 4 times. So I've got really nice solid colour around the edge of the panel, but in amongst the leaves and the berries, it's still a little bit blotchy, and that's fine because I'm going for a bit more of a rustic look here. Now I've taken out the first stencil from the Lush Berry Branch layering stencil set, and I've got out some inks. So I've got some blue-green inks. First of all, I'm using Volcano Lake, and I'm just going over all of the leaves with that sort of palish blue-green. And then I've got out one of my micro blending brushes from Altenew. This is a number 7, and I'm going in just to the base of each of the leaves with the darker colour Lagoon to give a little bit of dimension to each of those leaves. Now I'm not going to bore you by showing you every single one, so I've cut most of that out, but there all the leaves are done now. Now my cardstock is actually a little bit warped at the moment, but we'll fix that later. So I'm just sort of holding the stencil down, but you can see I'm sticking the edges of the stencil down to my stamp wheel to hold it in place. I actually use my stamp mill a lot more often for stenciling than I do for stamping, strangely. But yeah, it's really, really useful for that. Now I'm going in with some pinks, and I've started with the Rose Quartz, the really pale pink colour. And again, I'm using another number 7 micro blending brush to go in with the colour Puffy Heart. And I'm just sort of doing a C shape on the left-hand side of each of the berries so that it kind of looks like the light's coming from the top right. Again, I'm going to cut most of this out so you don't have to watch me colouring in every single one of these berries because it took a little bit of time. But now they're all done. Just one little leaf that was left, so I'm going in with the green again, just double checking I've got everything. Now there is a stencil to do all the branches, and I've gone back to some Distress Oxide ink for this. I'm using Vintage Photo, and I'm not going very dark. I just wanted just a hint of colour on the branches. I wanted the colours to be dominated by that dark blue of the Prize Ribbon and the blue, green and the pink of the leaves and the berries. So I didn't go in very intensely with this colour. Now there's just a few little branches up here that are in a separate part of the stencil, so I'm just going in with those, and then all of my stenciling will be done. All right, so all done there. Now I'm cutting this down, and you can see I'm cutting it down a bit wonky because I sort of decided exactly what part of it I wanted to have on my card. And I am actually going to have it cut down so there will be a white border around the edge. And I actually miscalculated this, so I had to cut it down just a little bit further, but that's okay. So that's the problem when you want to go a little bit cattywampus. You sometimes miscalculate. Need to do a little bit of Pythagoras next time, hey? Maybe not. So there's my panel. And I'm going to place that onto my card base with a nice white border around the edge. Now, to add to the sort of rustic feeling of this, I'm going to add some splatters of a champagne gold watercolor. These are the Starry Colors watercolors from Gansai Tambi, which I just love, especially on Christmas cards. I love having a little bit of gold or shine or sparkle somewhere on Christmas cards. Now, my sentiment is going to add a bit more shine, so I've got this champagne metallic cardstock, and I'm making sure that I add some anti-static powder before I stamp, because I'm going to emboss with this. And embossing powder particularly likes to stick to metallic cardstocks, so it is really important to add your anti-static powder. So I've added my embossing powder now, and I'll add some heat with my heat tool. Now this again will warp the cardstock because this cardstock has a coating on it to give the metallic finish, and heating it makes it warp, but that's okay. We're going to die cut it. It'll flatten out eventually. All right, so to add my embossed panel to my card base, I really want adhesive over the whole back of the card because the card was warped. So this is a really good use for the double-sided adhesive sheets. Because the cardstock was warped and because the cardstock is embossed, having glue all over the whole back of it is really helpful. And I don't really want to add any more liquid behind it because that might make it warp even more. All right, so now my panel is ready to go to be adhered to my cardstock. And I'm going to fussy cut around this sentiment. This sentiment is a few years old now, and I'm not sure if there were ever dies to go with it. Don't know. But anyway, I didn't ever get the dies, so I'm just going to fussy cut it. And I quite enjoy a little bit of fussy cutting now and again. All right, so now my sentiment is all fussy cut out, and all there is left to do is to adhere everything together and my card will be done. So to add my sentiment onto my panel, I'm going to be using the Instant Dimension foam tape, also from Altenew. I'm just cutting off little bits to sort of fit in amongst the sentiment, and then I'll be able to remove my backing tape on the adhesive sheet on the back. Always a little bit tricky when you don't have long nails. Anyway, I wanted to share with you that today, because I'm taking part in the Altenew Ambassador program, I have an exclusive discount code for my followers. So down below in the description box, please have a look. There is a code. The duration is from November 25th at 12 a.m. Eastern Daylight to December 2nd at 11:59 Eastern Daylight Time. And if you go to Altenew and have an order over $99, you get $10 off with my code. So there is a link below to use. You can only use it once. All the information will be below. And thanks so much for your support. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you'd make use of my code down below, and I hope to see you back again next time. Bye.